Boss told me to quit if I wasn't happy. Big mistake. Please note that English is not my first language, and I'm writing this on a mobile device. I am a civil engineer who completed an engineering degree specializing in structural engineering. Additionally, I pursued a specialized year in complex studies and design at a renowned school in my country after my engineering degree. I'm unsure if this provides a clear picture of my competencies, but I ranked second and third, respectively, in both schools out of a class of 120 people. As a result, you could say I am highly specialized. To summarize, I had a typical first job experience where I was told, if you are not happy, look elsewhere, which ultimately led to significant consequences for the firm. After completing my studies, I signed a contract for my desired job before even graduating. I was not rushed. I interviewed for 5 jobs, sent 7 resumes, and received 4 offers. The team I joined consisted of 6 engineers, including myself, specializing in existing structures. For example, if a bridge or dam has a crack, we are called to inspect the site and perform calculations to determine if everything is safe. A year later, I integrated well and grew in competence and maturity. By the second year, I transitioned from asking questions to being the person others approached for answers. Everything was going well. I received raises and bonuses annually, along with compliments and all the positive feedback. Things started to deteriorate after the 3rd year. By then, I was the go-to person for complex projects and when others could not find answers. Consequently, I requested to move from project manager to a more specialized role called technical referent. This role involves continuing regular work, but dedicating some time to ensuring team compliance with standards and addressing deeper technical issues throughout the year. This position did not exist in our firm, but is common in many firms here. I propose this because our team had grown to 12 people. Thanks to my involvement in more complex projects, our sales increased by 30% over 3 years, and we promoted more people to project managers. With 2 people essentially covering the tasks I could not handle as a referent, this became a viable option. Even my supervisor and their supervisor acknowledged, both verbally and in my annual review, that many of our projects at the time were secured because of my presence. To become a technical referent, I informed them I would need additional training to enhance my technical knowledge. I proposed the subjects myself and even provided pricing and contacts for relevant institutions. They agreed, verbally and in writing, noting it might take some time, but expressing interest in creating this position in the firm. You can probably guess where this is heading. By the 4th year, I had become increasingly essential to the team. I was training and evaluating newcomers, and everyone, including my supervisor, came to me with questions instead of approaching the supervisor directly. My supervisor even admitted he didn't fully understand some of the technical reports and calculations I produced. Essentially, I became the go-to person when the team was stuck or all seemed lost. Seeing no progress on the training or position I requested, I asked to meet with someone from HR to discuss my career plan. The HR interview was a disaster. They got my name wrong, had never heard of me, and had no record of my file, so the discussion was brief and unproductive. To provide context, our firm is quite large in our industry, with 500 employees and 6 HR staff at the time. Ironically, the HR person I met was the one who recruited me. During my subsequent annual review with my supervisor, I expressed doubts about their commitment to my career development. They gave me a raise and a bonus and assured me they would do everything necessary to support my growth as requested. Now in my 5th year, 3 people left the team. 2 for geographical reasons, to reunite with their families, and 1 because they could not keep up technically with the team and projects. Nothing progressed for me. I was essentially one of the 2 pillars of our team, but there was no training, no career advancement, nothing. I even had to fight to get a specialized computer for calculations. Imagine trying to run a complex finite element model on a 5-year-old Intel Core i5 with 8 gigabytes of RAM all day. You can understand my frustration. I requested a meeting with my supervisor and essentially told him that 2 years had passed with no action, urging him to do something, anything. Following this, they arranged a meeting with my supervisor, their supervisor, and a supervisor from another division. The meeting started with my supervisor's supervisor admitting he had not read my file and was unaware of my requests, asking me to explain again. This person manages 50 employees. I explained once more. For the next hour, 2 of them criticized me, saying I had not made enough effort, that answering everyone's questions was my job, and that I was asking for too much. My supervisor remained silent. Honestly, after 10 minutes, I mentally checked out. At the end, I told them that if nothing was done, I would start looking elsewhere, and many team members, observing this situation, might follow. They responded that I should look elsewhere if unsatisfied, but would consider meeting my demands, which was quite contradictory. 4 months later, I was treated as if I were contagious by the hierarchy. On multiple occasions, I was told the grass is not greener elsewhere, that I might not find something better, but I should still look. Essentially, passive-aggressive attempts to keep me. I got along well with everyone on the team, and most, except my indifferent supervisor, were frustrated with how I was being treated. Notably, I had trained most of them, and they inherited their skills from me. Fed up with the hierarchy, I began job searching, assuming nothing would change. Indeed, nothing did. I sent 5 resumes, interviewed for 3 positions, and received 2 offers. I accepted one. Before leaving, I told them that even if the grass is not always greener elsewhere, you cannot retain talent by threatening them, and others might follow if they fail to recognize their employees' value. I now have a great job, more relaxed, fewer hours, a 10% raise, additional benefits, including a company car, and a national referent role. The fallout. 2 people resigned 3 and 6 months after me because they lost trust in the firm due to how I was treated. Of the 6 remaining team members, 3 told me they planned to leave for the same reason. They described the current atmosphere as lifeless, with no one to turn to for technical questions, no engaging discussions or technical exchanges, a skeleton crew waiting for better opportunities. To give you an idea, these are skilled individuals. I tried to recruit 2 of them myself, but was declined because the location was too far from their families, which is understandable. I do share job opportunities I hear about and recommend them. When they leave, the most experienced person in the division, aside from the supervisor, will have 10 months of experience, with the average being 5 months. The firm lost major contracts I had managed. Some clients personally contacted me to ask what happened, expressing that they would give the firm the benefit of the doubt, but lacked trust in my supervisor due to past issues. When I visited recently to say hello, I learned that sales had dropped to the level from 5 years ago, before I joined, a 35% decrease in 9 months, with 3 resignations. Even my former supervisor admitted they no longer bid on projects involving complex calculations because they lacked the expertise without me. The division's future is uncertain due to this loss of capability for complex projects and calculations. This happened some time ago, but I am glad to get this off my chest. To new hires and those in their first job, please recognize your worth as soon as possible. It will greatly help you grow and know when you are being taken advantage of. Thank you for reading. Cheers.
Top comments. Comment. An employee excels, goes above and beyond, carries the team, is promised a promotion that never materializes, and is told, if you're not happy, look elsewhere, but you will not find better. They found better and left. I never tire of reading these stories here. Comment. I left a job for one closer to home with a 25% salary increase. On my first day, I learned the manager who interviewed and hired me had quit. 4 months later, everyone on my project, 5 people, had left. I told my wife that if they did not hire someone with experience in the software we used within 2 weeks, I would start looking. They hired someone within that time, but he had no experience with the software and could barely speak English. I began searching, and within a week, received an offer much closer to home with another 25% salary increase. It gets messier, but I will save that for another time. Comment. I am retired now, but one of my former colleagues was an information technology technical rock star. He mastered his job and knew how everyone else should perform theirs regarding database setup, integrating various behind-the-scenes software packages, and more. He was assigned to 4 or 5 projects simultaneously, and everyone wanted him on their team. We were federal government contractors working with our agency and other companies' contractors. During conference calls with all parties, whenever someone hesitated to answer a question without research, the government point of contact would ask, "Johnny, what do you think?" He always had an answer, including any caveats about why it might not be ideal. A couple of years after I left, he was informed they would submit a proposal featuring him in a prominent role. They would not reduce his other projects, and he expressed that it was too much, and he did not want to work on the new contract. They submitted the proposal anyway and won the business. They informed Johnny, and the next day, he did not show up for work. Instead, his director received an email stating he had quit effective immediately and were shipping all his equipment back to the office via FedEx, despite living less than 10 miles away. Moral of the story, do not upset your rock stars, especially when they're over 60 years old and can afford to retire. Comment. One piece of advice. In 2 instances, you mentioned that your file was not read. For anyone reading this, it is wise to bring your own copies of all relevant documentation demonstrating your value. In this case, it might not have made a difference. However, in other situations where management is more benignly incompetent, it can be valuable. If you like the story, subscribe to the Sneaky Pigeon channel to get more cool and interesting stories. And if you want to support us even more, like the video, write a comment, and turn on the bell to receive notifications about the latest videos. See you in the next videos. Bye-bye.